It's going to be a DigitizeIT tutorial. I'm going to go through the articles and what you would do from start to finish and exporting your data into Excel after you've taken your data from DigitizeIT. And then also I'm going to show you how to do the mean, standard deviation, and all that stuff. So the only thing I'm not going to do on this video is the effect size for Hedge's G. That'll have to be later, or I don't know if that'll be included in this tutorial or not. But first you have to go to clemson.box.com, and once you're there, just navigate to wherever you have your articles saved. Mine are in my article PDFs folder, and I'm just going to go alphabetically with my included studies. So my first one is this Adkins and Gavins 2012, and I'm paying attention to their last names, Adkins and Gavins, and then the year it was published, because we agreed that we were all going to save them identically so we can pull them up easily and find the information later. So you're going to use the first 3 authors. So if there's more than 3 authors, you're just going to use the last names of the first 3 and then the year behind it. So we're going to use that information to save everything that we do. So that's why that's important, just to try to remember. Once I've got my article open, I'm going to look for my graphs. So I'm just going to scroll through here through the through my full text until I find my graphs with my data. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've got Rose, Dennis, and John, and they did 3 different interventions. They measured 3 different things. So that means that this first video is going to give you a lot of practice, but also is going to take a really long time. So if I have to split it up into different sections so it'll load on YouTube, I apologize. I'll just name them part 1, part 2, but there's a limit to the length of video I can upload to YouTube. So now that I've got this open, this figure 1 number of words for Rose, Dennis, and John in the background, I'm going to open DigitizeIT. Once DigitizeIT is open and I know that my graphs, my charts from my full text are in the background, I'm going to go to Edit and Capture Screenshot, and it captures a picture of this. I'm going to zoom in up here as much as I can, but I still want to keep all 3 of these in my window. Before we had said to just zoom in, and you know, you only have to zoom in for Rose. That's all you need to do, but I actually think I've got a little shortcut. If we can include all 3 graphs in one window, it'll save you a little time, not a whole lot of time. But so now I'm going to go to set my X minimum. Let me zoom in. You're going to click here, set X minimum. You're going to go to the most minimal point on the X axis, which is horizontal, left to right. So in this case it's 1. Now I'm going to go to my X maximum, and I'm not measuring or including in my effect sizes generalization or maintenance. I'm just going to do this baseline and post instruction. So my X maximum in that case is going to be 6. You can just hit enter. Now I'm going to go up here and do Y minimum. The Y axis goes up and down vertically. So I'm going to look for the lowest data point on the y-axis, and I'm not exactly sure what that is. It looks like it's a 5. So to be safe and make sure that that's going to be included, I'm going to set my y minimum at 0. It's better to be too broad than to exclude it. So now I'm going to go here to set my y maximum, and I'm looking for the highest point, which looks like it's about here, which is about 85. So I'm going to set my y maximum at 90 and hit enter. Now you can go over here to the right in this window, and you see that you have an X range 1 and 6, and then a Y range from 0 to 90. Make sure your scale says linear. That means that it's going to be in a line. So if it says something else like logarithmic, you need to change it, or exponential. So if it says something else and you don't know how to change it, let me know and I can help you figure out what to do. So now I'm gonna select my points. To do that, I'm gonna go to data. I'm gonna zoom in. Data, take points manually, and you've got to click these in order. So I'm gonna go to Rose, because Rose is the only one I'm doing right now. I'm gonna click her baseline points in order. 1, 2, 3, and you're clicking them as close to the middle of the point as you can. 4, 5, 6, and that's it. Now you're going to go over here. It says I have 6 points. There they are. They're decimals, but that's okay. When I move them to Excel, I'm going to get rid of the decimal places, so they'll be whole numbers. Now what I'm going to do is save this graph, this picture of my points on Rose's graph. So I'm going to go to File. Oops, sorry. I'm going to go to File, Save Project As. And I'm going to make a folder because I'm going to be saving 9 of these. So I'm going to call my folder Adkins and Gavins 2012 graphs. So I'm just going to be saving the pictures of the graphs for the person that's doing the reliability checks to come through and look. So I'm just going to save this Adkins and Gavins underscore, or well, 2012 underscore 1. So that just lets me know that this was my first graph that I did in this article, and just hit save. That way when you save these in Box or on Dropbox or Google Drive, wherever you save them, so your person that's checking behind you can look at them, they can see, okay, they had 6 data points, and see I accidentally clicked somewhere and now it says I have 7, so I know that I messed up. So I hit the undo button because wherever I clicked I added a point. So now that it looks correct again, I'm going to go ahead and resave it because my picture that I send to someone to check is going to be wrong if I don't. It's very easy to do because once I've clicked to highlight these green points, it still is selected to highlight them. So anything I click while I'm saving will mess it up. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go to, I'm going to copy these points for my Excel. I saw Michelle P doing this. She was just highlighting and doing her shortcuts, Control or Command C, I guess if you have a Mac, Control C, or you can do it like this in the program. Go to File, or sorry, let me zoom in. go to Edit and copy dataset to clipboard. Every time I click the zoom button, it keeps adding a little green point somewhere, so that's what my problem is. Now that I have my data set copied, I'm going to go to Excel, and I already started this spreadsheet just from looking at Dr. Ryan's, but I'll go to a new one just so you can see what needs to be included. You need to include a title so whoever's checking your spreadsheet behind you knows what they're looking at. So this one was rows, number of words, and then this article had baseline and so I have baseline, and then I also have intervention. You have to adjust the column, this width. But I've got my days, which will be the number of days, and then their score. Then I'm going to do intervention. In this case, it called it post instruction, so I'm just going to note that right there, and I'm going to put days and score. And then I'm going to go back and look at my graph. Rose had 3 days of baseline, and she had 3 days of post instruction. So, and they were days numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, now I'm going to go to the score because that's where the data point is going to come in. And I'm going to right click and hit paste or Control V, and that is going to paste in my 6 data points. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the first 3 go with those numbers 1, 2, and 3, but then 4, 5, and 6 I'm going to hit Control Cut, and I'm going to move them over here so that they're with the right day. So they're with days 4, 5, and 6. So now that I've done that, I don't want to leave that all as exponents. So I'm going to click up here in the corner of my spreadsheet, right click, go to Format Cells, and I'm going to go to Number, and decimal places, set it at 0. And that will give you the correct data. So here's my baseline for rows, and there's my post instruction. So that score and those days should add up to and actually it imported this, so I don't even need to put that. I told you to do that, so that's my fault. So it does all of that for you. Now I've got to calculate my mean, my standard deviation, and my D. I also have to do P and D. Some of you might do Hedge's G using the online effect size calculator, but P and D is where someone's going to go through and do reliability checks. So you'll have to put what percent it was, and you'll also have to say who checked behind each person, who it was completed by, and when it was completed. So I'm just going to put completed by, and then in this blank you could put Jennifer Counts or Michelle Popham or whoever's going to check behind me for this one in particular, and then completed on. I'm going to format this cell so that it'll let me put in a date, because if I don't, it's not going to be set up for that. And I'm going to format this cell just by right clicking so it'll let me put in a percentage with 0 decimal places. So that way if Jennifer checks behind me and says, oh, I like it, it's 100%. For some reason it's putting in 10,000, it looks like. She could put Jennifer Counts, completed it 10/20/2015 or whenever she's doing it, and it'll format all that. So while I had this all highlighted, I could have centered everything. I like to have everything centered, and I like to have my stuff bolded. So I'm going to do that and bold just my titles and everything, and all these things that I'm looking for that I'm going to calculate. So now that I have gotten this far, I'm going to calculate the mean. To do the mean, I have to hit I have to go here next to mean. To do a formula in Excel, you first have to hit the equal sign. Got something in here, so I'm going to delete that. Okay, so I'm going to hit the equal sign, and I'm going to type average, and then I'm going to do a parentheses, and I want the average of my baseline. So average of, see, it's C and then 5 and then colon through the end of the baseline, which is C7, and then I'm going to end my parentheses and hit enter. If I drag that formula to the right, like this, to where I want my mean for this data set, it's going to try to do the mean of every column, but I'm going to delete those, and then I just don't have to type it in twice. It's easier because, see, it says the average of F5 through F7 when I click on this 62. So for standard deviation, same thing, equal sign, STD, EV, and then parentheses. I'm going to do the standard deviation of C5 through C7. And I'm just deleting those formulas out of there, and you can retype it. If I wanted to retype it, I could just type STDEV and then parentheses. Then I'm going to go F5 colon F7. And as long as it highlights the right set that you're trying to get, then you know that it's correct.